Alright, so after doing a solo run with a middle evolution, it was time to do another. And this time we're doing the starter Pokemon, one that's very much overlooked for a while, being the fire starter of Gen 6, Braixen. Braixen, I guess, is somewhat more ignored or overshadowed by its water type starter Froakie, the Froakie line, mainly Greninja wise. I think whenever somebody thinks about Gen 6 starters, they think about Froakie or Greninja, since Greninja is just such a popular Pokemon. But I think Delphox and Chespin, the Chestnut line, they both deserve their own appreciation. I think they are both really cool lines, and I really love the theme for the Gen 6 starters. You have Greninja, which is the assassin, and then you have Chestnut, which is the tank, and finally you have Delphox, which is the mage. And I always thought that was really cool. But today we are doing the middle evolution of the Delphox line, being our beautiful Braixen. God, that sounded weird. But anyways, a little bit about Braixen. Braixen does not have a good hitting ability, unlike the other two counterparts. Braixen has Magician, which just means that if I'm not holding an item and I attack an opponent Pokemon with an item, I steal their item. But that's not very useful, since at some point we're going to be just using the the lucky egg, have that consistently on, so it really doesn't matter. Now, if there's a huge downside to Braixen, is that it gets a very little variety of moves. It mainly only gets fire and psychic moves in its level up and in its TM. If there's only like one other type it gets in the TMs, it's Return and Grass now, and those actually do come in use. Now, if there's any huge downside to Braixen that I think I really dislike during this run, is that Braixen is only a pure fire type. It doesn't have the psychic typing, despite getting a bunch of nice psychic moves like Psybeam, Psyshock, and Psychic, which is really unfortunate because having that extra stab damage would have been so nice. But anyways, here are the rules. Let's get into the run. Okay, so Braixen, obviously at the beginning, has quite an easy time with the bug type gym, and it starts off with around, I guess, the basic moveset that a typical Fennekin would get, since it is a starter Pokemon. But eventually, just being, I guess, having the 90 base special attack, it is pretty nice. It does a significant amount of damage, and it does have a pretty high speed stat, so that was honestly pretty nice to go off of. So after beating Viola quite easily, we run into, obviously, the biggest obstacle I was absolutely dreading, being the rock type gym. Because clearly Braixen does not have a good way of killing rock types. Its only move it can really use for it is Psybeam, which is not too bad, but the main issue is we're getting hit by rock type moves, and they're pretty bulky, I guess, Pokemon, to say the least. Amora and Tyrant. I think, okay, so I went out of my way to do some slight training to make sure I was, I guess, at least close to your level. So I was around level 25. I decided to give it a shot just to see how it would go. But after trying it, I realized it was just not possible. Or actually, the first time I tried it, I did beat Amora. I was able to take out Mora because it always goes for Thunder Wave, so it always guarantees that you're paralyzed. If you're not paralyzed, it goes for Thunder Wave, otherwise it will start going for attacks. And it's not like it always uses Rock Tomb for some reason. I think it's just a result of the AI being kind of weird. And then Tyrant also didn't guarantee to use Rock Tomb every turn. Sometimes it's good for a Bite, and a Bite was a 3-hit KO actually, so that meant that if it only used Bite, we can easily win. But of course the AI suddenly got smarter in the middle of the fight and it just kept spamming Rock Tomb. However, I did realize that I guess from the battle that there are actually two ways of winning this. One is just PP stalling the Rock Tomb, because Rock Tomb only does have 10 PP. So if we get to the Tyrants and we have enough potions, if we just buy enough potions, we can just PP stall the Rock Tombs. The other solution is to kill the Amora without being paralyzed. So essentially we heal off the paralysis with potions, and then just take it out before it gets a chance to Thunder Wave us. So I originally went to plan I guess going with both of them, plan A, plan B, because I did have an X defend that you pick up right outside the gym. So with the X defend and the O power defend, we were at +2 defense. So the idea was I could easily just PP start a rock tomb that way, or maybe just take it out somehow. But after healing the process and taking out Amora, it actually worked for us. We were able to take out the Amora at a very healthy level. So we had a bunch of HP, and then Tyrant comes in. We land a nice solid side beam. It takes it around to under half, and when it uses Rock Tomb or Bite, it doesn't deal enough to take us out. And even at a -1 speed, we were able to outspeed the Tyrant. So with that, we are actually able to take out the second gym, actually a lot easier than I expected. And then obviously for Corna, not an issue, since we do get a bunch of psychic moves and we're not weak to fighting types anymore. So yeah, after dealing with Corna, it's always nice to beat Corna without facing much issues, just because she just tends to always be a huge problem for a bunch of these runs. But after that, obviously we do get the lucky egg, and then we take on Remos. So for Remos, obviously isn't a problem, but if I do have to say anything about him, it's that we do get Grass Knot right afterwards, and Grass Knot I think I need it for mainly 2 battles in this run. There's 2 important battles that we do need kind of Grass Knot for, and also if there's anything I've realized during this run is that Houndoom completely walls off Braixen, because Braixen only gets fire and psychic moves, and if a Houndoom has flash fire, then I had to teach it return or Grass Knot. And at some point I did learn Will-O-Wisp, which actually comes nice and handy, gives us kind of the bulk, I guess, to be able to take some hits well, and be able to just heal up or set up, that type of things. But after beating I guess Ramos, it's time to deal with Clemont, the electric type gym. So the electric type gym, obviously, well, I guess it's not obviously. So for Clemont, it's not really much of an issue, just because none of his Pokemon can really take me out. And I do outspeed and just take everything out with, I think I had Flamethrower at this point. So right around this point, I got Flamethrower, and I think I also had Psy Shock. So with Psy Shock and Flamethrower, we were just able to deal massive amounts of damage without much issue. I guess if there's any slight problem, it'd be Magneton setting up the electric terrain before Helios came in, but we do have 70 base special defense, so we were able to kind of tank it. And then so Valerie also wasn't much of an issue. Fairy types, since fairy types are not very effective against fire, they really can't do much to us. And then next up we had to deal is with Olympia, the psychic type gym. So Olympia is slightly troublesome, just because she does have a Slowking, and also we're not able to take out Sigilyph first time. So we did lose once to her, just because we also didn't have enough damage to kill off the Slowking with Grass Knot. I guess I forgot to mention very early, this is actually one of the fights we did need Grass Knot. So I think what I needed to do was just make sure I was completely healthy, and with the +1 special attack, take out the Sigilyph as healthy as possible. And then once Slowking comes in, I need to be able to live 1 power gem from it, and then I'm able to take it out in 2 Grass Knots. And then when Meowstic comes in, I just need to be careful, because it does set up Calm Mind, and I do need a turn to heal, so it's got to be able to take it out before it's able to take me out with any moves. And then after defeating Olympia, it is time for Lysandre. So for Lysandre, the first fight isn't too bad. So for his Gyarados, since we only have +1 special attack, it's kind of it's not enough to actually take him out, but we do have Will-O-Wisp, and by using Will-O-Wisp, we are able to nerf its attacks, and we are able to tank, I think, 3 Aqua Tails. We even got lucky some of the first few times where he did miss Aqua Tail, but I guess the first time I fought him, I just got a really unlucky range, got him to like 1 HP, and then he was able to just take me out. But on the second time, I already knew what the strategy was, so I was able to just utilize that to just take him out, no problem. And in the second fight, I think it went around the same way. just the same, burn the Gyarados and then take everything out afterwards. It's not much of a problem, especially since this Meowshark can just be taken out by a Psychic or Psyshock. We just gotta play slightly safe again around the Gyarados. I think around this point I also bought a bunch of X items. By utilizing X items, I could just make sure you one-shot everything. And it was for Lissandre's, for the final fight against Lissandre, since we don't have O powers, for this case, it's just obviously setting up on his Pyroar. His Pyro is definitely the main problem, or it's not the main problem, but because his Mega Gyarados comes out last, this is also where we get to utilize Grass Knot and take it out. And with Lissandre down, it's time for Wolfric. So for Wolfric, I guess to no one's surprise, we just one-shot everything because we are Fire type with 90 base special attack, and at this point we did unlock the X special or the O power special attack +2, but we didn't have enough O power juice. Not that I really needed it, because even Cryogonal with his high base special defense was enough to tank Flamethrower for us. So with that, we were just able to easily take out him. And finally, it's time for the Elite Four. So we start off with the Water type one, Seabolt, obviously, since he was the most threatening one. In order to beat him, I think we needed... so I used the O-Power special attack +2 because we need to be able to take out it's hard to set up on anything on any of his Pokemon, and especially since Clawitzer has huge firepower. So a +2 Psychic was actually not enough to take out Clawitzer, but I found out that actually Grass Knot was enough to do that. And then Gyarados came out. Since was it +2 Psychic was not actually enough to take it out, I did use an O-Power defense to make sure I was able to tank a Waterfall from it, which I was able to live on 23 HP, and I was able to take everything else out with Grass Knot. And obviously I take on the Dragon one next. Dragon one, I think I used a little bit of O-Power just so I could have slightly more firepower, but I was able to take out Dragalge in 2 hits after taking a hit from it, and I just set up X items on the Tara after burning it so that Earthquake did 0 damage, and everything just went down to my buffed stats. And I took out the Fire one next, and the Fire one next just means I can only spam Psychic on it, but none of her Pokemon really do damage to me. Especially, I guess if there's anything that could, it would be the Torkoal, but because it has low special defense, we were able to just take it out with Psychic. Everything just goes down to Psychic afterwards. I think it just did an O-Power speed just to make sure I had enough to do that. And then obviously the Steel type one just goes down to a bunch of Flamethrowers. Nothing really kills me there. I guess Aegislash tanks a Flamethrower because I didn't use any O-Powers on it, but it brought it to red and it wasn't able to take me out, and when he healed I just used that chance to just take it out in a sword form. And then finally it's time for Diantha. So for Diantha, she leads off with a Hawlucha. So for the Hawlucha, I started off with an O-Power special attack +2, and I used it for first turn to burn it before I set up some more X special, use some X items to boost my special attack while again O-Power or speed to make sure I outspeed Hawlucha. And then after seeing Hawlucha set up 2 Swords Dances, I knew that was probably the last time I can actually set up, so I decided to use the chance to just take it out. And then the Tyrantrum with Grass Knot, the Goodra with 2 Psychics, which she did use a Muddy Water that lowered my accuracy. So I just had to pray that I wasn't going to miss any of my 100% accurate moves afterwards. So after taking out Goodra, Aurorus came out. I used Grass Knot to just take that out, and then finally Gardevoir comes out, or for Gourgeist comes out, just take that out with Flamethrower, and then finally Mega Gardevoir comes out, and we are able to just one-shot it with a nice Flamethrower. And with that, we were able to beat the game at 2 hours 42 minutes 38 seconds, which puts it right under Kukurok and ahead of Aurorus, which actually at this point we are done with half of the X and Y solo runs, and Braixen is actually flat in the middle, number 3 for the highest, or I guess the fastest, which is actually a lot more surprising than I thought. I don't know what I was actually expecting for it between it and Aurorus. It's kind of hard to think. It's really just dependent on how fast I could get past some of the obstacles and walls. But Braixen, I actually think, did pretty well for doing some of that. I think half of it is due to the fact that it has decent offensive stats, and also enough bulk to tank some hits, and then also gets a nice variety, or not huge variety, but lots of strong moves, especially at an early level that we're able to just carry it out throughout the whole game. But with that, we're done with Braixen, and next up is Torture Pain, aka Lombre. Lombre is not a very good Pokemon, I'll be completely honest. I'm not looking forward to that run, but look forward to that video, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.